Hello, this is my first video on Python. Let me explain what this series will be about. This series is intended for absolute beginners. You don't have to have any coding experience. I will be using this website called repl.it. That means that you don't have to install anything to code in Python. You just need to run your browser, and that's all. We will be building something in every lesson. Actually, this will be the main difference between my lessons and other people's lessons. I will try to build something interesting in every lesson. And so if you stick around, you're going to be able to have fun. When you try to learn coding, it's often not so easy, so you have to have a lot of trials and errors. So if you started some other videos and you had trouble with it, then try this one. And if you have trouble with mine, then try something else. Just keep going, and then at some point it will click. Okay. And another advice is to follow along what I do. So if I type something on the screen, try to type at yourself. And if it's too fast, you can always stop the video and then try it on your own. Only by trying it on your own, you'll be able to learn coding. Okay. Right. So what are we doing in the first lesson? We will first make a repl.it account. The website address is repl.it or repl.it.com. And we will be learning about variables, numbers, strings, basic math. I'll talk about f strings and the input function. And after we learn all these things, we'll be able to learn the Madlibs. Well, we'll be able to build this Madlibs project. Okay, so try. Okay, so let's go to repl.it. You can also do repl.it.com. It's this website, repl.it.com. And you want to click sign up here. My video is blocking it, but if you go to right side of the login, there's the sign up, and you can click the sign up. And then I just continue with Google because I have my Gmail address. We can also sign in. Okay, so once you sign in, so if you need some time, stop the video and sign in. Then you can go back and click login, and I'm going to use Google because that's what I have. Then you have here, this is a completely free website, but there's also some added features if you pay some money, but you don't need to pay anything for following my video, so you can ignore this for now. And if we want to start coding, we have to click new REPL right here, and it says create new REPL, and as you can see, there are tons of different coding languages. There's even something called a low code. It's kind of interesting. But if you're trying to learn Java or other things without installing anything, this is a great website to use. So just click on the very first Python. You might not have the Python here, somewhere down there, but just find the very first Python, click it, and just create REPL. And if you do that, 3 windows will appear, 3 panes. The first one is when you have multiple files, when you are doing something very complicated. We're never going to do this, so I'm just going to shrink this, minimize it. Now we have the editor and the console. The editor we're not going to use immediately. We will be using it today, but for now let's not use it. We'll just have the console running. And let's follow this ritual in learning any coding language. So whenever you learn a new language, you learn how to print hello world in that language. In Python, it's super simple. You just do print parenthesis hello world exclamation mark quote enter. And if you succeeded in getting this hello world, congratulate yourself, because you're now in the Python world. You're ready to learn Python. I haven't explained what these quotes are doing. I'm going to explain that later. Print is a function, so anytime you have a function in Python, you need to put these parentheses. So you'll be seeing this parenthesis now. We'll also be doing that for the input function we'll learn later. Okay, so now let's really learn Python. What can Python do? Well, first it can do things that calculators do. So 4 plus 5 is 9. You can do 9 minus 5, which is 4. Or you can also multiply, say 9 times 5 is, what, 45, right? Oh, you see that instead of x, I used the star. The times multiplication symbol is not on your keyboard, so you have to use the star, which is Shift 8. So you do that, then you get this. And also division symbol is not on your keyboard as well, so you use the slash. So if you do 9 divided by 5, it's same as 1.8. If you do 2 divided by 3, that's like 0.666. Just like the calculator, it ends somewhere, except that it shows more digits than the calculator does, right? Now, another thing is, sometimes you want to just find the integer part of the division. Say, let's say you have 10 candies and you're trying to divide among your friends, and there are 3 people. Then this divide just gives you the integer value, which is 3. So if you do the quick math, if everyone gets 3 candies, then in total it will be 9 candies, and there will be 1 left, right? How do you get that 1, the leftover? Well, the leftover is computed by this percent sign, so 10% 3, and this is called a mod. So percent has a totally different meaning in Python. So 10% 3 says 1, so you know that there will be a 1 left over if you divide 10 candies among friends, among 3 people, okay? All right, now what else can it do? Well, if you do Control L, then it clears everything, so I can write more stuff. So Control L. I can also assign values to names. So let's say AAA is equal to 1. Then it doesn't give you anything at all, right? But then if you do AAA, then enter, it shows you 1. And you can even do AAA plus 6. It says 7 because AAA is 1 and you added 6 to it, okay? So AAA is what's called the variable in Python. In programming languages, always there's a way to store information, and that's called a variable, okay? So let me explain this a little bit more. What's a variable? Well, it's like this box where you store information in. So when you write AAA is equal to 1 in Python, the computer assigns a space in its memory and names it as AAA, and then puts the value of 1 in that place. It's very important to know later that equal sign in Python means assignment or make it equal rather than the mathematical equal sign. I'm going to show you this. I'll demonstrate this right after. Okay, so don't worry about this statement. Sometimes you want to store not values but actual letters. In that case, that's when you use the quotes. Okay, so if you put message equals to quote of hello exclamation, then this entire thing goes into this box. It's stored in there. Okay. All right. So back to repl.it. Let me show you what I meant about the equal sign. If I want to ask is AAA equal to 1, then the mathematical equal sign actually uses 2 equal signs. It says it's true, right? And if I ask is AAA equal to 2, then it says false, of course, because AAA is 1. It's not equal to 2, right? And if you want to change the value of AAA, then if you do AAA equals to 2, then nothing comes out. And what happened was that this equal sign, the single equal sign, actually took this value of 2 and replaced the information inside AAA. So AAA is no longer 1, but it's 2. Okay? So that's what the variable can do. There's a difference between equal, which is the mathematical equal sign, and just a single equal, which is an assignment operator. Whatever that's on the right side, you assign it to the left. This is rather confusing, and there are some languages where they opted to do it differently. So for example, in a language called R, they write AAA, then arrow 1. That's how you put the 1 in there into AAA. That way you can use the equal sign as the mathematical equal sign. But traditionally this has been the case, so in most other languages like Java, C++, JavaScript, all of those languages, they use this convention. So you'll just have to accept that, okay? All right. And then I talked about this message equals to quotes hello, and in this case a string of letters is stored into the message. I say string of letters because you have access to each individual letters by using this thing called brackets. Okay, so indices. Okay, so if you do bracket and then 0 and then close the by the way, these brackets are right beside the P, letter P, okay? Enter, and you see that it's H, the very first letter. So if you do message 1, it doesn't give you the first letter, but the second letter, right? Okay, let me clear the screen again. Let's continue. How about message colon 4? That's how you get the first 4 letters. Oh, hell. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, hello, if you take the first 4 letters, is hell. Okay, not very pleasant. But you can also do 4 colon, and that gives you the words after the 4. Okay. You can also do message. Oh, by the way, I just did something. If you do up arrow, then it gives you the last thing you typed. So you can save time. If you go up and down, then you can it shows you what you type, so you can save time typing. Okay, so I want to show you this message 1 colon 4. That's like 1 through right before 4. So it's like this one. It's like the hell, but because 1 is actually the second letter, it starts at this and ends at ELL. So it's like gives you ELL. Okay, instead of starting from the very first, it starts at the second because 1 is second. By the way, this is the second and third and fourth letter. So in terms of indices, this is 1, 2, and 3. And in Python, when you do beginning and end with this colon statement, it always ends right before that last number. You will be seeing this in some other contexts as well. All right, but see, the main difference is we had the AAA, right? If I try to get the very first letter of AAA, Python complains because it says this is an integer and you can't quote, you can't access letter by letter. To see the real difference between these two things, there's something called the type command, type, parenthesis AAA, and you'll see that AAA is of the class type integer, int. Whereas if you do type, if you want to know the type of message, it says it's the class type of string. So if you want to convert one to the other, then you can use these commands. So for example, if you want the AAA as a string, then you can access the very first number just like that. Okay. All right, so let me show you some other stuff so that you can understand this difference a little bit more. So let's say B is 91. By the way, you can use double quotes or single quotes to have strings. Python doesn't care as long as you start with the same kind. So if I start with a double quote, I should end with double quote. Okay, and then that's 91. And then if I try b plus 1, then it complains because b is a string of letters and 1 is a number. You can't add those two. On the other hand, if you say a is 91, a plus 1, that's perfectly fine. It's 92, right? But you can still do that with b if you convert that b, put int of b plus 1, and now it does the same thing. Okay? On the other hand, you might just want to do b plus and then convert the 1 as a string, and look what happened. See, this is like 91, and then 1 is another string, and when you add two string of text, they just concatenate. You just put them next to each other. So for example, if you have, say, hello plus fellow, you get hello fellow. Well, let's see. I guess I want some space between, so let's put space and f, hello fellow. Right? So addition for strings, it's a concatenation. So because 91 has quotes surrounding it, Python no longer thinks of this 91 as the value of 91, but as sequence of letters 9 and 1. And then you're putting another 1 next to it, so it's 911. So it's just like this. B plus 1 gives you 911. Okay? Okay, so we learned a lot already. Hopefully I didn't go too fast. I will try to explain these concepts again if I have the chance, but if you have trouble, you can always review this video to kind of see what these are. And by the way, you can also watch some other YouTube lessons on Python, and they might do a better job, so feel free to go back and forth between different lessons as well. Alright, so now we still have two more stuff to learn. The first is the f strings, and then we will learn about input, and then after that we're ready to do some cool stuff. Okay. All right. First, the f strings. F strings is something that's a new addition to Python 3.0, and actually it started in 3.4. So older books out there, they don't talk about f strings, but it's really cool. So let me first try to explain what I'm trying to do. Say my favorite number is b. And when I do this, I kind of remember that inside the variable b, I stored 91. So I want to say my favorite number is 91. But Python doesn't understand it that way. Python just thinks that b is just a letter, because Python really doesn't understand human language, so it just does exactly what it's told to do. Okay, so it's sometimes really frustrating, but you just have to learn how the computer thinks. Okay, so the dilemma is that if I ask what b is, it says 91, but if I put b in quotes, it just thinks of b as the letter b, and because this b is indeed inside quotes, it's not going to access the value stored into the variable b. So b without quotes is the variable, b with quotes is a letter. So there's the reason why Python requires these quotes to understand which one's the variable and which one's just a string of text. Okay, and then that's where the f string comes in, and if you really want to access the value of the variable b, you put the f first and then open the quotes. My favorite number is, and then b, because I'm trying to access this variable b, what I do is b is surrounded by curly braces. So you open the curly brace, it's right next to p but with shift. Okay, so it's like the shift of the brackets. You have to use the curly braces. Parentheses is not going to work. Other things are not going to work. Okay. All right. So you do this dot, and then you see that Python switched out the b as the value stored in b. So it's just like this. Okay. Now you might ask, well, why don't you just write my favorite number is 91? Well, sometimes you can do that. Sometimes that's a feasible approach. But sometimes you might want to be able to access the variable inside the string. So to understand how that can happen, I need to explain to you the second command called input. So what's an input? Input is a function. So today we just learned two functions, print and input. These require something inside. Sometimes you can just start with parentheses and end right after. That's also possible for input, but usually you want to ask something. So input, what is your favorite number? And if you enter, at first it looks like the print command. It prints something in the console without any quotes, right? Except seems to be stuck somewhere. It's just stuck right here. What's happening? Well, what Python is doing is this input command waits for user input. So whatever you type in, let's say 891, enter, then that 891 user input is captured as a string of text, and that's returned in input. Now you probably want to store this somewhere, so I'm going to say number, I'll just say num, num is equal to input. What is your favorite number? And then let's just put some 67, 1, 2, whatever. Oh, you see nothing happened because now the value of 6712 is stored inside the number. So num has that. Okay, so now that you know f strings and the input, let me show you how to put them together to come up with your very first program. And we'll be using the editor now. Okay. Alright, so what's the difference between the editor and the console? Well, in the console, anything you put in, it immediately executes. But on the editor, if you put, say, 3 plus 4, it doesn't give you 7. Even if you do enter, it doesn't do anything. It just goes to the next line. It only gets executed only when you press this green button. This is the run button. When you run it, it executes, but it doesn't even give you the 7 because another restriction about the editor is that it never shows you these things. You have to print whatever you want to be shown in the console. So if I want 3 plus 4, I have to print 3 plus 4 and then execute. It'll give you 7. Now, this looks much more inconvenient than just using the console, but the nice thing about having the editor is that you can put several commands and it's going to all run at once. And this will, by using this, we can make cool projects, okay? All right, so our very first program, a sequence of codes, making program, right, is the following. We will first make some remarks. The pound sign right above the 3, shift 3, the pound sign, allows you to put anything. It doesn't have to be any Python command. You can put anything. I'm going to say, nice to meet you program. Okay. And what this is going to do, by the way, the new lines that gives you, if you press enter, they give you new lines. It doesn't matter if you put new lines or not. So I'm just going to put another space. I'm going to say name equals to input. What is your name? Question mark. Okay. And maybe before print hello there. Hello there. Okay. And then in the next line, what is your name? It's being asked. And then once the name is stored, whatever you type in here that's stored in there, you can print it back. Print. And we're going to be using the F string. F. Print F. Nice to meet you, comma. And remember, when you try to access a variable inside the string, you put curly braces and then name. Close the curly brace. Oh, you know, sometimes the editor automatically puts extra quotes. Be careful, you want to delete this. I could still use single quotes. Make sure that they match if you're using single quotes. It doesn't matter, but sometimes they give you the extra quotes. Make sure that you have a pair of matching quotes, okay? And that's it. That's the nice to meet you program. Let's run it and see what it does. Hello there. What is your name? And what happened was that it printed hello there, right? And then it asked for what is your name, and it's waiting for the user input. It doesn't do nice to meet you until I put the name in. So I'm going to put Daniel, and then I'm going to put enter, and it says nice to meet you, Daniel, and that's it. Okay, I like extra period here, so I'm going to put a period. So hello there, Tommy. Nice to meet you, Tommy. Just like that. Okay. All right. So this is your first program. I hope you try this. Make sure that you do exactly what I wrote here, and then run it. See if it runs. And once this is run, now we are ready to do the Madlibs thing. Okay. All right. So let's do the Madlibs, our project of today. Okay. So I'm going to do new REPL. By the way, this program that we just wrote, it will be stored in your account, so don't worry about it, okay? So I'm going to click Python again, and this time let me change the name. I'm going to name it as Madlibs, okay? Create REPL. Okay, another one of these. I'm going to shrink this down. But I have to explain to you what Madlibs is, so let me go back to the presentation. Oh yeah, actually, you may have seen Madlibs in workbooks like this one. It's like, it's hard to see here. Maybe there's something like this one. Yeah. So you have some text where you put a bunch of things, right? And often you may have a front page where you're not shown the text, and you first put all these, your name, number, whatever, and then you go to the next page and see what those would turn out to be. That's the fun in this, and that's something we can do in Python with just what we learned today. Okay, so let's try that. Just come up with a story. I just made this one on my own. It's kind of boring, but it's okay. Even these boring, everyday, like diary-like things can be turned into something funny if you're doing Madlibs. So you take a regular story like this one, and then what you want to do is you want to change some critical words, just like this. Yeah. And then these are the things that I'm going to ask for user input. Okay, so if you're ready, let's start. I would like to actually type everything, but that's going to take too much time, so let me just copy this. I'm sorry if you're trying to follow, but you can always stop the video and type the entire thing, okay? So I'm going to copy this and then go back to, where's my Madlib? Okay, right there. Oh, that's, oh, actually, I actually have it here. Let's see. Yeah, but let me try all over again. Okay. So right click. Actually, Control V, paste whatever you copied. So so I copied, and now it's pasted here. And then we're going to put quotes before and after. that annoying extra thing. Okay, and then just type some enter, and we're gonna now start putting a bunch of input commands. So I'm gonna say food1 equals to name, now input, name of a food, just like that. And then you can copy this, right click, copy, and then Control V, paste it, and food number 2, name of another food. Okay. And then the next one is subject1, so I'm going to do subject1 equals to input, give me or your favorite subject. And then subject2 input your another favorite subject. And then reason. And then, so the thing is, here's the difference between an online Madlibs versus some workbook Madlibs. So what you can do is you can use the f string to access what was just typed. So I'm going to say, you like this subject 2. Of course, depending on what you're doing, you don't have to do what I'm doing. Or you can just get any Madlibs online and then try to use that. So reason input, you like subject 2 because, then let's see what it does. Okay, let's see, the next one is place. So I'm going to put place equals to input, name of a place. Okay, and then something equal to input, give me a noun. Okay, we're almost done. Now what you do is you just print. We're going to print the result, and it has to be an F string. So let's delete the parentheses, and then I'm going to put an F, delete. So now it's an F string, and then now you have to close. Make sure that the parentheses are all matching. Sometimes that's the main mistake, and make sure that the trailing quotations are always just one of them. Okay. And because we're using f strings, we have to access these variables and make sure that the variable names are matching. Food1 is food1, food2 is food2. Another thing is that f strings require curly braces, so you have to change all these quotes to curly braces. Okay, so put curly braces for anything that you have above, so that gets printed. Here, 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 then place, then something. Okay, so let's run it. Let's see what it does. Okay, name of food, pizza. Another food, kimchi. Favorite subject, math. Another favorite, physics. Okay, luck physics because I like flying things. Okay, or flying saucers. I think that's more funny. Saucers, okay. Alright, name of a place, let's see. Shake Shack, maybe? Okay, give me a noun. You know, chickens make things fun. Okay, so I'm going to put chickens. Let's read what we have. It was the first day of school. I woke up and had pizza for breakfast. Mom picked my favorite kimchi for lunch. My first period is Math, my favorite subject. I'm also looking forward to physics because I like flying saucers. I can't wait to tell my friends about the wonderful trip to Shake Shack. Okay, I'm going to show them the chicken I bought as a souvenir. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to get the second lesson ready.